Hi. Um, I am filling in the black area between two copper shields today, and so it's a perfect time to talk about my Z twining, which is the way the ancestors, all the ancestors who did these robes, every robe in all museums, all were constructed with a Z twining motion. And so that is how I weave. Other weavers, because they're using the S twisted commercial yarns, they are now adjusting their weaving to those commercial yarns. And so there's a lot of people who are S twining. So, but I do Z twine. And so I'll talk about those differences today. Today is a good time to return to the basics and just explain that twining to you. Okay, so we created these lower shapes coming in one warp, one warp, one warp, one warp, and it was step joins. And so I didn't have to deal with the braids at all. But then I went back and I did do the braids. So now I'm weaving the black forms between these shapes, and I will be going over one warp, taking a turn and going over one warp. So my twining goes, it's enclosing two warps, right? It's a twine action that encloses two warps. And these are my wefts. The weavers are my wefts, what I call the wefts. So behind those two warps is a yarn. In front of these two warps is a yarn, right? So when you're zetting, you're taking the one that goes in the front of those two warps, you're taking them and you're going under the weft that is coming out behind those two warps. And so that weaver now goes behind two warps. Okay? So it goes under and then behind. Okay, so here I am. I'm just going to come to the point where there was an interlock join, and then I'm taking the front one, going over the back one, and behind two. Now you'll notice that join, that turn, that what I call the Nahim turn, that will always be the front one goes over the back one and then turns the corner. No matter if you're Z twining or you're S twining, the Nahim turn is always that way. Okay, so now I'm weaving to the left. Now, there's the two. I'm still enclosing two warps, but in this case, I'm taking it and I'm going over the one that's coming from the back and behind two and up. So over, and then you go down where that first one came up and behind two and up. The back one is my action. It goes over, down, behind two and up. Over, behind two and up. I'm meeting a couple of these short blacks, and that was where I replaced longer wefts to replace the shorter wefts. And then I weave just beyond them, including them into the warps as I weave, and that way they're tucked in. And eventually they'll be cut and trimmed in the back and eliminated. Okay, so again, I'm not going to go beyond this time. I'm only going to go to where I did an interlock join. So I'm grabbing the last two. Now this one is, I'm doing a chilkat turn, a nahin turn. This top one goes over the back, the one that's coming from the back, and behind. In this case, I'm going behind one warp. Okay, now this one goes under its partner, behind two, and up. It's going under, down where that front one comes up, behind two, and up. And that's the Z twine. So it's Z. And the reason why they call it Z is if you put the letter Z up on, like these are Z twisted. So if you put the letter Z here over this strand of warp, it would go Z, and then the backbone would match that twist. The backbone of the Z matches that twist. And if you had a commercial S twisted yarn, if you put the letter S over this yarn, the backbone of that letter S is in the S direction with this commercial yarn. And so that is the difference. Okay, so now I turned here, and now I'm going one over, and then the nahin turn is over, and then in this case behind one. Okay, so I'm twill twining in a Z technique. Oh, and I'd also like to mention that those braids, you spliced the braids, you came around, you spliced those braids and pushed those ends to the back. So take the time to get a blunt needle and needle up those ends in the back of these shields. And I call that housework. You got to stop your weaving and do your housework, and that's attending to those loose ends in the back, because they can get quite a lot in the back, and it can be quite the chore if you don't do your housework as it happens. Okay, so now here my last two warps are here, and then I need to grab one more into this shield. And then twine. You know, if you feel comfortable twining in a Z twine like the ancestors, then do that. If you feel more comfortable with the S, then do that too. Because we have commercial S twisted wefts, and that can make a difference in the look of the weaving if you untwist those commercial S twisted wefts by Z twining. And I think that's why they switched over, was because the commercial S twisted yarns would unravel. and look not good. So they made the adjustment. I think that if you handle your things in a good manner, knowing what could be happening, and then you adjust your tension, you should be able to do both. And especially with Naheen, because we're doing short areas, where with the raven's tail, weaving the complete length of the robe could cause the S twist to unravel if you carried it across all the way, weaving it with the Z, and then it would untwist the S. Anyway, there you go. Thank you for joining me, and have a great Tuesday evening. Hawa. Bye.